You might be wondering how a destruction character can function as a sustain. Aren't they supposed to be DPS? Well, who says destruction is an exclusive DPS path? Honkai Star Rail has entered a multi-path era where one character can fulfill multiple paths' job. We've seen supports and sustains that can deal damage. It might be the time for a path known for offensive role to fulfill a defensive role. Yunli's kit allows her to be used as a sustain, and in my opinion, she's the coolest sustain in the game. She introduces a new mechanic called Parry. It's a form of counterattack that requires precise timing to execute correctly. In the case of Clara and March 7th, you're just waiting for the enemies to attack them. Yunli, however, you need to cast her parry right before the enemies attack. The basic idea is similar to how parry works in action games, a split-second window to block an incoming attack and then launch a powerful counterattack. I'm actually impressed Hoyoverse managed to bring this mechanic to a turn-based game like Honkai Star Rail. They achieved this by giving her a special state that lasts for only one action. If she gets attacked while in this state, she will launch a counterattack. This one action is not Yunli's action, but anyone's action, either enemies or allies. If you miss this window,
You fucked up.
To ensure enemies will attack Yunli, entering the special state will taunt all enemies. That's very smart in my opinion. Because of this mechanic, Yunli can fill a sustain role. The fact that her skill has self-healing properties reinforces this idea. Obviously, I'm not talking about a full-fledged sustain like Aventurine who can protect your team all day. If you use her like that, your team won't survive. What I'm talking about is strategic sustain, where your team can take some hits and avoid lethal attacks that could potentially ruin your run. Each enemy has that kind of attack, and Yunli's parry can interrupt it. All you need to do is pay attention to her ultimate button and memorize the enemy's attack patterns. I don't know if this was planned from the start, but such a mechanic is only possible because characters' ultimates in this game can be cast anytime, regardless of turn. Ultimate is where Yunli's magic begins. Officially, her meter requires 240 energy to max out. However, to use her ultimate, Yunli only consumes 120 energy. This means she's able to launch her ultimate right off the bat in Memory of Chaos and store excess energy if her meter goes past 120. Very nice. Upon using her ultimate, Yunli enters the special parry state I mentioned earlier and increases the crit damage dealt by her counter by 100%. She has two types of counters, Intuit Cull and Intuit Slash. Intuit Cull is the counter that looks like an Excalibur slash. This occurs when the parry is successful. She deals physical damage equal to 220% of her attack to a single target and 110% of her attack to the adjacent targets. Additionally, she also deals 6 instances of damage, each dealing physical damage equal to 72% of her attack. Intuit Slash, on the other hand, occurs when you fucked up. She will still perform a counterattack, but without the 6 additional damage instances. Don't worry, the game developer is kind enough to help players with this skill issue because there is a pity system in this mechanic. If you fail to parry once, her next counter is guaranteed to be Intuit Cull. All the damage dealt by Intuit Cull and Intuit Slash are considered ultimate damage. Moving on to her other trace, this one enhances her effectiveness as a sustain. While in the parry state, Yunli resists crowd control debuffs received and reduces damage received by 20%. On the contrary, her final trace enhances her offensive power. When using a counter, increases Yunli's attack by 30% for one turn. Alright, you've seen how cool she is while in the parry state. But what about her normal state? She can't loop her ultimate, can she? Well, actually she can. Thanks to her talent, Yunli gains an additional 15 energy every time she gets attacked, then launches a normal counterattack to the attacker and the adjacent targets. If we count all the energy involved in this process, taking hits, launching counterattacks, and the additional 15 energy from talent, it gives her a total of 35 energy. Without an energy recharge rope, it is possible to maintain her ultimate's uptime. But if you want to be certain, an energy recharge rope can help. Yunli can deal decent damage, but in my opinion, her true value in offense lies in her ability to deplete the enemy's toughness bars. I really like Yunli's integration into my Boot Hill team. It helps Boot Hill to break even faster. Since this team doesn't have a physical sustain except for Natasha, Yunli is a surprise fit. Now let's move to her light cone options. Her best in slot is obviously the signature light cone. This light cone is so good, it tops her first Eidolons. It greatly increases her chance to be attacked outside the parry state and also boosts her crit damage and counter damage. If you have extra cash to spend, I highly recommend getting this light cone instead of her Eidolons. Yunli's best Eidolons are E2 and E6, so go for it only if you can reach at least E2. In this early access server, I'm using the light cone from the Herta shop, which I think is also a good fit. Since her heal scales with her attack, I need to stack as much attack as possible, and this light cone provides that. You could also build Yunli as a hybrid breaker by giving her the Misha light cone. As for her relics, the game recommends a combination that I agree is good. If you have Firefly, you must have farmed the Iron Cavalry set, which also drops the Wind Soaring Valorous set. Alternatively, if you've never done it before and are lazy to start farming, you can pick any relic set that gives an attack bonus or break effect. The main stats on each piece are as follows. The rope can be attack or energy recharge depending on your need. If you think her ultimate is too slow for certain battles, feel free to use energy recharge. I think that's all for my Yunli first impression. Although I will skip her, I have to admit that she is a fun character. The Parry Mechanic makes the experience of piloting Yunli feel fresh. If you want to pull her, go ahead. In the next video, we'll talk about my sweet darling March 8th. Stay tuned.